Salutations, we're back from another little hibernation, been busy with some things, but I figured, hey, I think I have some time to do another one of these, and I was able to get a chance to watch a couple of movies early before they came out. They're both now available to go see, but I felt, hey, why not talk about them? And they're pretty good examples of very different ways on how to tell your opinions and analyzation of current things within our society. So yeah, I figured, hey, let's talk about them and we'll see what you think, and you'll go see them, and yeah. Starting off was the one I would not recommend, and that is Vengeance, from the writing, directorial debut of B.J. Novak, best known as Ryan Howard from The Office. And I like that, like, just the de-evolution and evolution of his character on that show. He's pretty good, and the way he helps write that show is pretty good. I like The Office, as most people do. And I was interested in him helming a feature film, and I was, to say disappointed, maybe an understatement. The general gist is he goes to Texas to go to the funeral of this woman that he only hooked up with a few times, and the brother says that she was murdered, and he's trying to help him like figure it out, while also kind of like analyzing like the beliefs and ways people in like a state like Texas operate. And the idea is solid. It's not great, not bad, but it's solid. But it is unfortunately squandered with genuinely nothing. This film brings nothing to what it wants to present or do. It presents itself as a comedy, but it is never really funny. It presents itself as a poignant look on society, but it really is not that good at all. In fact, every like analyzation it has is very surface level and very just feels meandering, and especially like, not to really spoil anything, but by the time you get to like the third act and when things are revealed and when things happen, at first it kind of becomes a little more interesting. Like, okay, now the film's actually doing something instead of just doing nothing for after half an hour. But when those things happen, it's just kind of like, okay, now what are you trying to say? It feels like it's contradicting what it was trying to say or do, and then it just ends in this really like uninteresting and very unflattering ending in terms of emotions and themes. And genuinely, I'm like, what am I meant to take away? This was so unsatisfying. The look is fine for a film that's supposed to be in Texas, that was shot in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It never felt like, oh, okay, this is off. Like, okay, this feels like you're in a different city than you're trying to establish. And there's a couple occasionally like okay chuckle-worthy scenes in Ashton Kutcher. I saw people say he was bad, and I mean, he wasn't great, but he wasn't that awful. I felt like, with a better script and direction, he probably would have been far better. And I enjoyed the brother, Boyd Holbrook. I don't remember his name, but the actor, he did a good job. I enjoyed him. And also, B.J. Novak is just like he's a fine actor. He's not great. He's not terrible. But like, he feels very out of place and very out of character. It feels like the film is just his way of like putting vessels in a film so he can explain like his opinions and beliefs on many different things found within our current like society. I don't know what other word to use. I hate that word. Because they don't feel like characters. They just feel like pinpoints to say something that he thinks, and then when that's done, it goes out to the next character who just does the same thing. And it just kind of repeats that for a while until it eventually just ends. And I just left thinking, like, what am I supposed to take away? You're presenting a lot, but not leaving anything for me to digest or take with me. Just, no. No. I mean, I don't know what else to say. This film I saw it last week. Most of everything is completely evaporated from my memory. It's just uninteresting, very unengaging, disappointing, and I think the rating I'm going to give it is a bit too high. I could genuinely drop this lower and feel no grievances, but it's fine, it's watchable, there's a story and a structure, but I highly recommend going to see this other film I'm about to talk about, because it's far more interesting and actually impactful rather than this, which was just very forgettable, meandering, and just is not going to stay in anyone's radar for more than like 10 minutes. So yeah, Vengeance by BJ Novak is gonna get a really bad, atrocious, and well-deserved 4 out of 10. This may be a 3 out of 10, kind of like what I did with Jurassic World, but I don't know. Forget it. Forget this movie. On to a much better film. We're gonna be talking about Quinn Shepard's new film, Not Okay, starring Zoe Deutch or Deutch. I've never been able to figure out how to say her last name. But this film was intriguing. I think I remember seeing the poster for it a couple of months ago and like a tagline. I'm like, okay. And then I just forgot about it. But then I was able to get a little screener link for it and I decided, hey, why not? I'll watch it and maybe it'll be okay or bad. And I was greatly surprised. I was pleasantly surprised by how solid and pretty good this film was. This film has been compared to the movie Dear Evan Hansen, the one from last year, and just the play in general. And that film is terrible, and this film does share a lot of. It has a similar like structure, execution, and a lot of the same like themes and kind of messages in a way. But what makes this far more different than the film or play is purely its execution of everything. Because that film tries to kind of make you feel more sympathetic for him, and like so you can kind of wait till like everything goes down. This film doesn't really have respect for its lead character. It just more so shows what she's doing and how she keeps like burying herself deep into this lie to see if it either keeps going that way or until it eventually keeps collapsing. And I feel like its structure and execution was very solid, and just like how it's being what's the right word, like how it was being addressed was something very interesting, and it kept my engagement throughout the whole film. And I know like and they do say some and do some things that are kind of cringy, but I didn't really find it like it's cringy, but it wasn't cringy in a way that feels like off-putting or like out of place for a movie like it. A lot of it, a couple of things feel out of place, but for the most part it all feels like stuff and things people would say and do, and the way people act does feel like it has a good grasp on how people kind of react and do within our modern age, and the people of like clout chasing and like basically like kind of like social parasites or social media parasites, and how they just kind of latch on, try to get everything, whether they're inherently good, bad people, or just like throughout that kind of spectrum. And I thought that was actually something interesting, and how that contrasts with people in the real world actively like going for real world issues, getting those addressed, as opposed to these people who don't really believe or really aren't confronted with stuff that actual people do. And I thought it was pretty solid and really well performed, especially the 2 lead performances of Zoe Deutch, who's very enjoyable and good and likable to a point where you can kind of like you can watch her and feel kind of sad for when things got to happen, but you're still like, yeah, I mean, you've done this yourself, this is all your fault. And especially the breakout star Mia Isaac, who did a pretty phenomenal job, and especially with a really terrific like final 5-8 minutes that just like kind of left me like moved, and not crying, but like genuinely moved and affected by what was being told and presented. It's actually really good, and pretty much all of the other cast does a really good, solid job. Same with like Dylan O'Brien. I thought he did enjoyable for the little bit of screen time he was on here, and I would say that he's kind of forgotten about after a while, because he's essentially he helps the inciting incident commence, and once that kind of happens, they just kind of forget about him after a while. But he's still pretty like enjoyable, just the fact he goes so far into this like black scent fake like Chet Hanks type person. Like, I thought he did a really great job at that. And there's another really good funny moment towards the end of the film, like one of his final scenes, and I thought that was pretty funny. It's pretty well told. It feels like comparable to like Ingrid Goes West from 2017, and that one I like a lot more than this, but I feel like they get good grasps on like social media and how things actually happen and react, and how people work within this different medium and media and how things go. And I thought it was very, very well told, very interesting, looked pretty good for the most part, very effective, very well told. I liked the music. Most of it, a lot of it just feels like that one track from Portrait of a Lady on Fire, but it feels very effective whenever it's used. It has some negatives, is that it can be a little bit predictable. They kind of reveal the ending of the film at like the very first minute or two, which was not necessarily off-putting, but like it kind of leaves you like, oh, okay, I kind of know what's going to happen. But you're still along with the ride well enough that it doesn't really damage or harm anything with the experience of what you're going to go see. And then every joke, I would say maybe like 6 or 7 out of 10 jokes work, but still, like, that's consistently better than, like, you know, a comedy where maybe one joke works throughout the whole film. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was better than I thought it was going to be, and it's left quite a positive impression on me, and it's one that might be on the honorable mentions of 2022 list whenever I make that next year. So yeah, if you have Hulu, check it out. Pretty good, not too long, not too short. It's like a good length film. It's positive, effective, and it does feature one of the most like moving and genuinely effective sequences out of a movie this year. It's not like one of the best, but it's a genuinely effective and pretty well done scene in a genuinely well done and well told film that I might watch again. I don't know. So yeah. Quinn Shepard's Not Okay is going to get a really positive and really good, well-deserved, well-earned a 7 out of 10 or 3.5 out of 5. Just what I was looking for, pretty good and a very solid film. So yeah, those were the 2 I got to see early. One great, one terrible. But it was enjoyable talking once again. I've been gone for too long. I don't know why, but I'm back in action, and expect maybe one more video. I don't know, but whatever comes, it comes. So thank you. Peace.